make a video to respond to one of the posts that was on the discussion board about feeling a little rushed and needing more time for work. And it's exclamation, exclamation, but at least it's not all caps. So I know how you're feeling. Um, and I just wanted to give the details to the pressure that I feel from my end of things. So if you didn't see the post, go ahead and read it. I'm not stating who it is, because it doesn't matter. But obviously, the question was open to everyone, and the individual didn't mind. Um, and I wanted to let you know from not my perspective, but what the college has for me to do. So I'm going to go into the curriculum team site. These are public pages, and these documents are also public. These were board approved, and I've gone into the Math 25 curriculum pages, and I'm going to click on just a few of these here. Let me grab them. All right, so this is called the course outline. This is the most updated one, and it needed to be updated because we have to update them every 5 years, and we have to be in sync with other college requirements, community college requirements, and if we're trying to keep these classes uh, aligned or articulated with the university, the rules sometimes change, and we have to make these updates. So anyway, in the bullet point 7, it goes over the details of what we need to cover. Some of the things that we're covering here are frequency distributions, histograms, graphs, levels of measurement. That's like the nominal, ordinal, ratio, and so on. Sampling methods, descriptive statistics, which we're starting to get into in chapter 3, and so on. And it goes through all the details of the things that we have to cover. Some things that I personally don't know that we necessarily, would need to cover. We could probably put off, and once you get the idea of a few of these things, you could probably generalize those to the other ideas. But these are requirements to stay aligned and articulated with other classes and other colleges. So we've got the course outline. Next, we have the distance education addendum. This is important for online students because it's what allows online students to be able to take an online class, whether it's partly online and it's hybrid, or whether it's a complete online class. For this class, the addendum allows us to have technically hybrid. And what that means here is that either all the chapter tests must be proctored, or at least there needs to be at least one midterm and a final exam. And whatever you choose, several midterms and a final, or one midterm and a final, the average of those two have to have a minimum score of 70 for the student to be able to be allowed to pass with a C, regardless of whatever else their score is. So you can see there's some pretty hard lines set here, and there's the justification for it. And so you can, these public documents are things you can look into to follow that. Now it makes sense that I would be a proctor because I'm the instructor of the online course, and so I'm going to provide dates for those, which are going to be June 24th and July 31st. And I'm going to provide 2 sessions, one in the morning, one in the evening, because first of all, we've got 2 sections, and the space is just limited, so we're going to have to try to open up those windows to make time available for everyone. But then we've also got a proctoring exam request form, and I will be posting this for everyone to be able to look into. It just gives me a chance to validate that the person you're going to have proctor is a librarian or instructor or professor, so college instructor or university professor, or a state librarian or a college or university librarian. So anyways, and I can make some contacts with them, but you're going to be, as a student, you're going to be responsible to make that request, and I'm going to give you then till the week before we do the midterm to be able to take care of that, and with time for me to then validate with that person and get the paperwork completed and filled out. Anyway, so that helps to relieve a little bit of the pressure on you and me, because you don't have to be with me during those sessions that are on campus, and and it just needs to get done on the day that we set up with the proctor. Now we come to the workload, and I'm just using a syllabus from another instructor to try to show you how they organize their workload, which is very similar to mine, with the exception of the way that they present at the beginning of the class, where they let them students in a full-time semester do some review without requiring homework. The homework that I'm requiring, though, from the review that they did not, is chapter 1, and it's probably the lightest chapter of all of them. So it's a good place to kind of pad your homework score, honestly, and provides you with the framework that you'll need for success later. And I've seen it. I've been teaching this for many years, and I've seen that it is helpful to have that first chapter really not just read, but really worked through and practiced. So I assign chapter 1, and then the rest turns out, starts to work out to be the same. The difference is, though, that this is a full-term class, whereas my class is a summer class. And so time is going to be squeezed down pretty much in half, so we have to do twice as much work in the amount of time that we have. So I paced it out here, and we can see that it means that we're, during the first 2 weeks, it's almost like basically 3 weeks, it's almost like boot camp, and we're just putting our head down and working really hard to get it done. Again, though, I can say honestly that, and being a father of a student that's in an elementary school locally here, and being a teacher of the basic skills class, that the first 2, actually almost 3 chapters are largely review. But you would have to have a really good memory to honestly say that you remember all that stuff from so many years ago. So it feels like it's new. But in the elementary school, the frequency distributions are taught, pie graphs are taught, line graphs are taught, scatter plots are taught, mean, median, and mode are all taught, and depending on the class and what standard they're keeping, the standard deviations and variance will also be taught, so measures of spread. Anyhow, so we wish that we had perfect memories. We'll have a hard time remembering probably just even from chapter 5 to 6, and so it's just going to be part of the struggle that we know that we have, and we work hard to deal with it. Now my schedule seems even tighter, and it feels even tighter. This is the pressure again that I have, because I'm restricted to the days that I can require you to do work. So I'm only allowed to require you to work Monday through Friday, and not on any holidays like the 4th of July, which we have, and not on the weekends. And again, let me show you so you can see what I'm seeing. I get an email from the people that are in charge of these things, and they tell me class starts on whatever day, and I have to start it on that day. In fact, I've actually gotten called into the dean's office in the past when I tried to start a class early, thinking I would give my students the upper hand of starting early if they were underprepared or needed more preparation. And then I was told I'm not allowed to do that. All the students have to start the same day, and they all have to start the day that the session is scheduled to start. So I couldn't even do that. I would have liked to give people at least that first week to orientate themselves before having to start on work. But I got talked to, and so one bad experience will turn me off from trying to do that again. Then I'm also told, like I already stated, but I'm going to give it to you here, and I'll scoot in a little bit here. I'm told, remember, requiring a due date on weekends on your syllabus violates the instructional calendar. And then they tell me why or how I should think about that. But I personally would like to let everyone have their homework due on Sunday night, or pick your day, Saturday night, whatever. But I'm not supposed to be allowed to do that. I'm supposed to be required to make your homeworks due Monday through Friday, and that's your work week, and that's the time that you're supposed to have available. Now, what I do and I've been able to find that this is allowed without violating, is I say that it's all due by Friday at midnight, and then I say that there are 2 more days where you can turn it in with the late penalty, clearly indicating that it wasn't when I required it, so I'm safe, because otherwise why would I be providing a penalty? They're late, and so they're past the requirement. So that's a restriction that I have that, again, I don't like. I'm kind of stuck with a lot of these restrictions. I'm stuck with all this curriculum that I have to cover, and this limited amount of time that I have to cover it, and then additional restrictions like I can't require any homework on the 4th of July or something like that. It's kind of crazy. Speaking of crazy, down here, when I wanted to have the final exam, I found myself a little bit restricted again, because I will take you here. One of our other online instructors has need for that day, that they'll be there on the 1st. They'll be there from 11 to 12:20. Well, maybe we could just do it earlier, but they'll be there from 7:30 to 8:50, and from 9 right after to 10:20. So anyways, things just come up, and I'm bound by certain rules, and you're bound by rules. So we do what we can, and it's going to be tough. That's why I like this Piazza tool, because a lot of people are coming in here and they're answering questions. Someone posts a question, and then someone right after can get that answer there before even I can get there, and then I can just follow up with even more to it. So although I think I've been first on a lot of these. So anyway, I hope that we can do this together, that we can make it work, even though it is going to be tough. I can tell you that I can reduce the restriction on the late homework on the weekends from 5% to something else, and I'll think about that. I can consider letting quizzes be due on the weekend also, but with a penalty, so that way that it's clear that I didn't require them to be due on the weekend, but that they were allowed to be due late with a penalty, and some other things like that. But when it really comes down to it, keeping this schedule, let's zoom out a little bit more here, it is going to be the best for us to be ready for midterms and finals, and I can't really change those, because we have to have at least one midterm and a final. We have to have those proctored. We have to have above 70% on them to be able to pass the class with a C. And I want you to be ready for them, so I want you to be keeping up with the work each day. Speaking about that, how much work we have to do, and how much you have to keep up with, one last comment that I'll close on, which I kind of said in the orientation video. It's found in, and I referenced it, but I didn't actually go there, so now it's time to go there. It's in the catalog. I'll tell you a real easy way to find it. Go ahead and just do Control F, and in the find, put study. It won't be the first one, it'll be the second one, and it will describe, let me zoom in just a little bit here, the definition for what a unit is. So it says that according to Education Code for California, the definition of a unit is a lecture hour, which it's usually a 50-minute hour, and for every 1 hour there's supposed to be 2 hours of study per week per semester. So let me run that calculation. I know I did something similar to this in the orientation video, but let me run that. So during a regular semester that meets our 18-week semesters, you would have 18 times for whatever number of units your class is. So in our class it's 4 units, 18 times 4. And then that's the number of hours total you should be meeting for lecture. And then you got to add to that the twice as much for study. So double 72, you've got 144, and then add that. We have 216 hours that we're supposed to plan on for the average. Now, let me be clear about that, or does it say that? That's the average student. So some students, they come more prepared than others, and they're not going to spend as much. But that also then means, since it's the average, that there will be some that spend more than this amount of time. Okay, so assuming that we're average, which I'm a pretty average guy, you would divide that by, for us, that's the total number, so we're going to divide this by 8. That will be our 8 weeks, so 27 hours per week. We'll divide that by 5, since we're supposed to do this all in 5 days a week, since I'm restricted to tell you what's, that you're not supposed to work on weekends, or you don't have to work on weekends, and so on. So then that's going to be 5.4 hours per day, per instructional day, the 5 days a week. Now, you got to consider that there's a holiday, and so that kind of goes up, but then you can also cut this back, and I'll show you why I said 4.8 hours when I first did my calculation. Because we meet 4 hours a week, or we're supposed to meet 4 hours a week for lecture, and then you multiply that by 17, really, during the 18-week semester. It's really 17 weeks of lecture, and then there's only 2 more hours of lecture, or 2 more hours of class time for the final exam. So that's really 70. And then if you double that and you add 140. So you got 210 divided by the 8 weeks we have, divided by the 5 work days that we're supposed to be spending. And it comes down to this, but then you take out the holidays. Anyway, so I was estimating at around 4.8 hours. I'm too tired right now. It's 3:54 a.m., so I don't remember exactly how I got 4.8, but I can do it again later. So somewhere around 5 hours a day. It is a lot of work. Anyway, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I could say to let you know how I know how you feel, and that if you're feeling like this is boot camp, that's why. We have a lot of work to do, but this is the time that we're supposed to be spending doing it. I guess the last thing I can say is that we do have places we can get help. In the textbook, Multimedia Library has the videos. I know that there are a lot to watch. I've got, under my math professor YouTube channel, some examples that will probably come up more useful later, because they're from later questions that students gave me in the past. Showing you how to use the calculator, how to use StatCrunch, how to use Excel, and so on. Showing you how to follow the animations that are given. I'm going to be answering some questions even tonight on how to create a frequency distribution. Sean Jackson, Mr. Jackson, gave me a good activity that I could use with you, that I had from a while back when we were working together. I have one that it was not going to show. There it is. That I thought was a pretty good example also. And in Piazza, just keep answering each other's questions. Guys, we can do this. We just need to help each other out. I'll get a video for that one too. All right, that was a long explanation, but I really do, and I don't think you even had the time to watch it all, but I really do, if you're even still listening, think that you're right. There is a lot of work to do here, and I just hope you guys can do your best.